We've been making some progress with our app. We've now checked off the second item in our to-do list. We displayed a pop-up when the user taps a button. But in adding some functionality, you've most likely already run into some problems. One of the biggest pitfalls when you're first learning app development is understanding what to do if something goes wrong. And trust me, things will go wrong a lot. So next, I'll show you how you can solve some common problems. I recommend you watch this lecture even if you successfully completed the previous exercise, because chances are you will eventually make these kinds of mistakes. So it's good to know how to deal with them. Let's dive in.
To get started, open your project in progress or download the starter project for this episode. One of the most common bugs is a typo bug. Open up main.dart and scroll to your game page state class. Now delete the underscore from alert is visible. Right away, you'll get a red squiggle further down in your code. If you hover over the squiggle, you'll get a message letting you know that the variable isn't defined. If you scroll down, you'll see more errors. Oftentimes, when you make an error, those errors will propagate throughout the rest of your code. So a good strategy is to start with the topmost error and work downward. In this case, add an underscore and the errors go away. Dart is a case-sensitive language. Find a text widget and make it lowercase. Again, you get a red squiggle because to Dart, a lowercase text object is quite different from an uppercased one. When you scroll over the error, you can see that Visual Studio Code guesses that it may be related to the text. In the dialog, click the Quick Fix button, and you'll see a Change to Text option. If you don't understand the bug, you may be tempted to select a random fix option. You may end up doing more damage that way. Rather, consult the documentation and online communities for bugs that don't make sense. Now, missing a parenthesis is like throwing a wrench into an engine. It will cause a lot of bugs. Here, I'll go to the main menu and delete the closing parentheses. Notice I get a bunch of errors from unrelated bits of code. Remember, start at the topmost bug and see what's the issue. In this case, when you hover over the error, you'll see a bunch of random messages. If you click the Quick Fix button, you'll get a bunch of unneeded fixes when all you need to do is add a parentheses. So remember to review your code as well as read the error messages. Replace the missing parentheses. Missing braces can also cause problems like parentheses. Like parentheses, the error will propagate through the rest of your code. Also, keep in mind where you place variables. If we move the alert is visible variable to the actual build method, that will make the variable local to the build method. But the rest of the class won't be able to access it. This is known as variable scope, and you'll learn more about scope as you explore the Dart programming language.
So far, we've been dealing with errors, which are in red, but sometimes Visual Studio Code will give you a warning, which is in blue, or potentially another color depending on your theme setting in Visual Studio Code. What's the difference? Well, errors are fatal. If you get one, you cannot run the app till that error is fixed. On the other hand, warnings are informative. The editor just says, hey, you probably didn't mean to do this, but go ahead and do it anyway. Generally, it's a good idea to make sure you have no warnings at all in your code. Some developers treat warnings as errors, but sometimes you may encounter warnings that are just out of your control. Ultimately, it's up to you and your team on how to handle them and then be consistent.
You don't need to track the pop-up when it's open. We currently track the state of the pop-up with alert is visible and then print a message out to the console. Let's delete the alert is visible variable and then save. Now open up the Problems tab. You'll see we have two problems. One problem is that we are using a print statement. This lets us know to remove the print statement before we ship the app. The other problem is that we aren't using the alert is visible field. Well, this is just a warning, but it's good for us to clean up our code. Let's delete it from the rest of our code. That way we can keep our code clean of unused variables. We can search for each instance, but instead scroll up to the property. You'll notice the blue squiggle letting us know there's a problem. Click the property and you'll see a yellow light bulb in the gutter. Click the light bulb to display a bunch of options. Select the option that says Remove Unused Field. That deletes the field entirely throughout the file. Save the file and look at that. You're good to go.